Sposobnost nekog društva da integrira ranjive skupine osoba iz različitih kultura koji govore različitim jezicima i žive drugačije vrijednosti ukazuje na stupanj demokratičnosti tog društva i zemlje. Integracija je proces koji treba vrijeme, ali to vrijeme ne smije biti predugo jer to onda može biti pogubno za demokraciju. Umjesto poticanja ksenofobnih politika, što se posebice događa u posljednje vrijeme, čelnici europskih država, pa tako i Hrvatske, trebali bi jače razvijati politike ljudskih prava, te objasniti građanima svojih država zbog čega je politički vrlo bitno prihvaćanje izbjeglica iz svih dijelova svijeta, pogotovo onih zahvaćenih revolucijama i ratovima. Osim svega, u suštini vladanja jest očuvanje humanih vrijednosti na razini države, a prihvat izbjeglih i imigranata zasigurno je jedan od prioriteta. Poslušajmo što o tome kaže Julija Kranjec iz Centra za mirovne studije.
Dakle, pitanje integracije u Hrvatskoj vrlo dugo bilo zanemareno, dakle predugo su i vlade institucije zanemarivale činjenicu postojanja stranaca u ovom društvu, a posebno izbjeglice, i ono što je posljedica toga bilo je da su neka od njihovih prava ugrožena, dakle da su oni jednostavno stavljeni u lošiju, da su bili stavljeni u situaciju lošiju od ostalih, gdje nisu mogli ostvarivati neka svoja, pa čak i bazična prava. Međutim, u 3. mjesecu je Ured za ljudska prava i prava nacionalnih manjina Vlade Republike Hrvatske formio radnu skupinu čiji je zadatak bio da izradi akcijski plan za uklanjanje pojedinih prepreka u integraciji stranaca u hrvatsko društvo. Taj dokument je i donesen. U njemu se može uputiti brojne kritike, mislim on je važan kao korak naprijed, međutim jedna od najvažnijih kritika koja mu se upućuje je da se i čak i u tom trenutku Hrvatska je propustila dakle sjesti i napraviti jednu sveobuhvatnu, dobro promišljenu integracijsku politiku. Hrvatska je propustila tu navesti koji je to model integracije stranaca u naše društvo, kako ona vidi da se različiti ljudi koji dođu živjeti u Hrvatsku integriraju, i isto tako propustila vidjeti posljedice toga što se sad događa ako se takvi modeli ne osmisle, odnosno koje su sve posljedice i za te strance, ali i za nas koji tu živimo ako nema nekog dobro osmišljenog modela njihovog uključivanja u društvo. Kad pitali se dakle koji jesu neki prioriteti u Hrvatskoj, prije svega istakla bih da još uvijek dakle i osobama koje dođu u Hrvatsku i traže izbjeglički status i on im bude odobren, dakle takozvani azilanti, njima još uvijek nije osigurano učenje hrvatskog jezika. Dakle, sad se već radi o 100-tinjak ljudi koji dakle žive u našoj zemlji, žive među nama i kojima još uvijek Hrvatska država nije osigurala da nauče ono temeljno, dakle neki preduvjet te integracije, a to je da razumiju jezik okoline u kojoj su došli. Drugi značajan problem koji se javlja je za te osobe koje bježeći dakle pred nekim ratnim strahotama, pred tom da sačuvaju svoj goli život, ne mogu uzeti sve dokumente ili im nisu dostupni. I upravo je to problem kod priznanja kvalifikacija za daljnje zapošljavanje ili obrazovanje. Dakle, kad se kod nas može dogoditi da na burzi da neka izbjeglica, ne znam, ima završeni fakultet, međutim ona, fali jedan od dokumenata i ona će na burzi biti jednostavno zapisana kao nekvalificirana radna snaga, i na taj način ne samo da ta osoba gubi i Hrvatska u nekom ekonomskom, dakle gospodarskom smislu. Također zapošljavanje je problem, međutim ono se danas topilo i sa velikim problemom nezaposlenosti ostalih, tako da sada to više ne možemo isticati kao zasebni specifični problem za ovu skupinu. I prije svega, a onda, dakle osim ovih koje sam nabrala, i ostvarivanje nekih temeljnih ljudskih prava, pa tako upravo se sada vodi jedan slučaj pred sudom jer Republika Hrvatska dakle onemogućuje sklapanje braka za izbjeglice iz istog razloga zbog kojih je to problem i kod priznanja kvalifikacija, to je nepostojanje cjelokupne dokumentacije. Dakle, da bi jedna izbjeglica kao i hrvatski državljani sklopili brak, treba imati rodni list koji nije stariji od 3 mjeseca. Dakle, ako znamo da te osobe bježe iz Somalije, iz Afganistana, iz Sirije, dakle znamo da je poprilično nemoguće da takav jedan papir imaju. Pa, dakle, naš istraživački centar za mirovne studije radio u 5. i 6. mjesecu ove godine pokazalo je, dakle, da 60% hrvatskih građana i građanki bi željelo živjeti u multikulturnom društvu, što nam daje neku nadu, dakle, da ipak ljudi žele živjeti sa strancima, da nam je ok i da vidimo tu različitost kao bogatstvo, ne kao nikakav problem. Međutim, isto tako ono što je zabrinulo je da velik broj bio i vrlo kritičan, odnosno zatvoren prema dolasku izbjeglica, što posebno čudi s obzirom na iskustvo koje hrvatski građani i građanke imaju kroz povijest. Ono što se smatra da neki primjeri dobre prakse poticanja interakcije, odnosno da su dobri primjeri prakse i integracije stranaca, interakcije između lokalnog stanovništva i osoba koje se dosele, jer su ti neki zajednički forum, je edukacija o imigrantima i njihovoj kulturi, te taj neki stimulacija zajedničkog života u urbanim zajednicama, dakle, odnosno da sve neke aktivnosti koje potiču na interkulturalni dijalog, a one mogu biti temeljene na vrlo bazičnim artefaktima kao što su hrana, glazba, dakle nešto što nam je svima zajedničko, dakle da su to sve neke aktivnosti koje doprinose smanjenju predrasuda, smanjenju stereotipa i ksenofobije, dakle pridonose tom boljem upoznavanju nas međusobno članova društva, doprinose tome da shvaćamo zašto je tko ovdje, da razumijemo njihovu ulogu, dakle da jednostavno nemamo više potrebu, za mržnjom, netolerancijom ili bilo čim drugom. Također istakla bih jako važno i ne samo informiranost građana, nego i informiranost novinara o tim temama. Mi u Centru za mirovne studije ponajviše se bavimo izbjeglicama i jako nam je važno onda da cijela ta tematika bude prikazana što vjernije i da novinari budu čim informativniji, jer na taj način dolazimo do što većeg broja ljudi. A osim toga, istakla bih primjer da sada radimo jedan projekt azilantske kuharice, gdje upravo nam je ideja da putem kuhanja, dakle putem hrane, putem neke te teme koja nam je svima zajednička, približimo to tko su izbjeglice u Hrvatskoj, da približimo njihove životne priče i da jednostavno pokažemo da mi u Hrvatskoj danas koristimo razne začine koji su imigrirali iz raznih dijelova svijeta i da nam je to apsolutno ok, da bez njih ne znamo ni da li bi mogli kuhati dalje, ali isto tako postoji neki zazir i postoji neka distanca od toga da prihvatimo ljude iz istih tih zemalja i upravo na taj način, dakle, putem azilantske kuharice, putem priča o tome što su izbjeglice kuhale prije nego što su došle u Hrvatsku, koji su to obiteljski neki momenti, odnosno što se kuhalo u nekim tim momentima zajedničkog druženja obitelji, želimo približiti cijelu tu priču našim sugrađanima i sugrađankama. U različitim zemljama Evropske unije je različita praksa, dakle ima i onih koji pokazuju apsolutno neprihvatljive politike i mjere prema imigrantima, to znamo da su to Grčka, Italija, a isto tako postoje one sa vrlo dobrim i razvijenim modelima integracije, dakle, ali i integracije kao što su neke nordijske zemlje. Ono što bih rekla da te zemlje razliku od Hrvatske je ta tradicija imigracije, dakle, gdje oni već i zbog svoje kolonijalne povijesti imaju dugu tradiciju useljavanja stranaca, pa onda su i već kroz to vrijeme se i naučili nositi s tim. Međutim, ono što bih rekla da svima zajedničko je ipak to da se stalno traži taj neki takozvani drugi, da se stalno traži taj takozvani stranac, da se te osobe onda stavlja u neku kategoriju i onda se licitira sa njihovim pravima. Dakle, u svim tim zemljama, dakle, kao i u Hrvatskoj, mora se znati ko je domaći, a tko je stranac i onda ćemo mi sad uvijek pristupiti tome da se strancima ipak ne daju svoja prava koje nama. Ono što je tu važno je jednostavno isticati potrebu za društvenom pravdom, dakle da nekako afirmiramo te principe društvene solidarnosti i jednakih mogućnosti među svim pripadnicima društva. Odnosno, ono što je važno dakle je prevladati taj manjinsko-većinski princip percipiranja društva i shvatiti dakle da promovirajući dobrobit izbjeglica ili stranaca nije nešto drugo ili oprečno promociji dobrobiti dakle svih članova društva, odnosno da od potpunog dakle uključivanja svih građana, dakle omogućavanja ostvarivanja svih njihovih potencijala, dakle činimo dobrobit našoj zajednici.
Punim uključivanjem stranaca u svakodnevni život zajednice u kojoj prebivaju i sama zajednica stječe maksimalni dobitak. U svrhu postizanja tog cilja potrebno je omogućiti strancima da dostignu svoj puni potencijal kao ravnopravni članovi društva, da pridonose zajednici u kojoj žive uz ostvarivanje svih prava i obveza zajednice. U nastavku emisije pogledajte dokumentarni film Infozone iz Splita naslova Isti ljudi, druga mjesta, izazovi migracije.
Right, when people talk about integration a lot nowadays, everything is a problem of integration of migrants or asylum seekers or refugees, and they used to talk, when I say they, I mean the government and also the classic media and a lot of people also from the population, they talk about cultural differences. So they say that we have an integration problem because the cultures are so different, because the language, this German language, which is a huge topic in Austria, is such a big problem. But when you look closer to the problems, where are the real problems, you can see that what we're talking about is a class issue. And that's what makes it so difficult to unmask the real thing behind it. So why is it difficult for people to get status, a legal status in Austria? It's not difficult for very famous people, Anna Netrebkova or other famous football players or whatever, get citizenship quite soon. And nobody talks about integration problems of rich Russian entrepreneurs or oligarchs. That's obviously not a topic, although their culture can be different. You see that where it gets a problem, it's for the poor people, for people who come here without means, maybe without education, some even with education but without means. And then if you look closer to the problems, it's obviously a class issue and not a cultural problem. I think that us, the people who are working in the migration and so-called integration field, although I don't like the word, we still don't have another one, is that we should use media more. We should be open with the media. We should put our content inside the media and not stay outside of it. So what we, for example, do in my work when we organize these debates about migration and integration, we always include the media. And we write press statements and try to put the contents inside also the regional media, so that the people, when they have their breakfast at morning, read something about the difficulties of migrants or the reason why refugees come here. We have to do this step and get in touch with the population and not stay on an abstract or even academic level. We have to get involved. There's no way around it. You know, when you talk about integration, politics or policies or debates in the public, one topic is very present, and it's the language. In Austria, people are talking about German. Migrants must learn German. They must know a certain German level in order to get citizenship, in order to get a certain permit or whatever. And what is behind this German talking? Behind is ideology of a nation state that sees itself as monolingual, but it is not. It is not, because Austria, for example, has many official languages. It's not just German. We have minority languages, recognized ones, like Hungarian, Croatian, Slovenian. So it's the ideology behind it, and it's absolutely ridiculed because, again, nobody talks about the German knowledges of Anna Netrebkova. It does not matter. She does not have to speak a word of German. Nobody will complain. But people are using this German stuff for the poorer people and the poorer migrants. Now, what scientists have been proving is that you need to know your mother tongue quite well in order to be able to learn another language. So what we should foster and encourage is the learning of the mother languages, which are, in Austria, for example, could be Turkish, could be Kurdish, could be Romanes, could be Chechenian, and so on, so that these kids then know their mother language well and may learn German, which is, of course, important. Nobody of us working in the integration fields says that nobody should learn German. Of course they should, but we're living in a multilingual society and world, and we should foster this and encourage it. Well, women in their migration face a lot of problems that are the same than men and children, but on top of it, of course, they face specific problems. This starts, if we're talking about refugees, it starts with their asylum causes. You know, women have their own asylum causes, which are not by terms recognized in the Geneva Convention, for example. So you don't get asylum, for example, as a victim of female genital mutilation. It's not written. Some get it if they argue hard, but it's not written in it. For violation of women, for sexual repression. Women also face the problem of being trafficked to Western countries, and as is the case in Austria, they come here, they're being trafficked to Austria to work in the sexual business, to work as prostitutes, as forced prostitutes. The absurd thing is that asylum seekers in Austria are not allowed to work, although the government says they are, but it's untrue. The restrictions are so high that in fact you're not allowed to work, but you are allowed to work in the sexual business. You may be a sex worker. You may not work in a bank. You may not work in a Caritas. You may not work in a factory, but you may work as a prostitute. There's a special permit for it, which encourages the human trafficking for sexual exploitation, because they can come here, they're being exploited by their traffickers, and at the end they get asylum negative and are being deported. And that's the end of the story. They come here, work hard, get ill and sick, with a lot of problems, of course, also psychological problems. At the end, they don't even get the status of being able to start a new life in Europe. No, most of them are being deported, and that's a real problem that affects mainly women. Not only, of course, there are some men that also are exploited in the sexual industry, but mainly the highest percentages are women.
I came to Austria in 2005, 7 years ago, as a student. I started with studying German language, and after that I studied sociology. I finished a year ago, and since then I've been trying to find a job and stay in Austria, which turned out to be almost an impossible mission, unfortunately, because I am not able to fulfill the requirement of the gross salary for my occupation, which is in the social area. In this sector, mainly the salaries are averagely about 1,500 euros. And this is why I'm not being able to, for example, combine two part-time jobs in order to get the necessary salary, and for now I am still without a job. Austria wanted to regulate the immigration of highly qualified workers by bringing the new law in 2011 about red, white, red card, which is meant to regulate the permanent residence of highly qualified workers which find job in Austria and can stay here for an unlimited period. The problem with this regulation is that in practice it works very difficult because of the prerequisites that need to be fulfilled in order to get this card, which are mainly connected to the salary, gross salary, that needs to be basically more than 2,000 euro a month, and other conditions which are controlled by the system of points. So basically people who would like to come to Austria to work, they need to fulfill these conditions of, for example, knowing German language or having a higher education or work experience. According to this, they collect the points, and if they satisfy the condition, they can apply. There is no security for some people that they will even acquire this permit, because if it's proven that in Austria there are Austrians who could also do this job, then your application can be denied.
There is a growing racism against Muslims in Austria in the last 10 years. In fact, it's a sort of confessionalized racism, and it's not something you could call Islamophobia or something like that, which is very popular in the discourse, because it's not against a religion, it's in fact against people who are seen as the others, as foreigners, as aliens, and who are not seen as part of the Austrian society, of our state. So I think it's more or less a culturalized or confessionalized racism, mainly promoted by the extreme right-wing Freedom Party, but also quite popular in other parts of the society. And the problem is that also from the liberal left-wing side, this dominant racism against Muslims causes a sort of homogenization of Muslims in a positive way, that they defend Muslims as such, which is of course nicer than a resentment against Muslims, but it still sees Muslims as a homogenic group that needs our protection or something like that. And I think we should treat Muslims not that way. We should take them as equal citizens of this country with different backgrounds, with different political ideologies, interests, genders, as a part of us, and religion might be a part of the reality and the personality of some of these people, but not of all of them, and it definitely isn't describing everything that makes up them as citizens of their country. Of course, you have also within the Muslim population different class backgrounds, and the Muslims that are seen as a problem by the Austrian racists are mainly the poor Muslims, and the rich Muslims who are making holidays here from the Khalij, from the Gulf, for example, from Saudi Arabia or from the Emirates. They can be as conservative and as religious as they want. They can wear a niqab, but they spend their money in our shops, so they are welcome. The Muslims that are not welcome are these who are the poor Muslims, who are workers here and who are seen as a problem. Of course, behind this confessionalization or ethnicization of social conflicts, we hide these social conflicts. And in fact, after all, it's in many ways also a hatred and a resentment against poor people, and not that much a resentment against specific religion. In Austria, political education is still not really present in schools. It is a principle of education, as they call it, but it's not a specific subject. That means, in fact, that if a teacher is himself very active as a history teacher, for example, he can include that, but in most of the cases it's not really included in the curriculum. So we have people who have the right to vote, but who do not really know anything about the electoral system or about the background of the political parties. So I really think we would be better off if we would have a special class on political education in Austria that brings into the curriculum also ideas like human rights. What does it mean to have a state of law? How could we define citizenship and things like that? And this is really missing. And some people grab that later on, but it's not something you get through your regular education in school.
Karin i ja smo isto socijalni radnici, ovdje smo počeli prije više od 20 godina, mislim Karin je duže od mene, ona je već 17-18 godina, ja sam prije sada 13 godina odmah poslan studija počeo ovdje raditi u Volkshochschule. Ova Volkshochschule je jedna od najstarijih kuća edukacije odraslih koja postoji u Europi. Inače je prva kuća koja je samo za taj smisao bila izgrađena prije više od 125 godina. Znači ovdje je izgrađena kuća samo za edukaciju odraslih. Tamo na ovom istom mjestu gdje se mi nalazimo. Što se tiče školovanja, priznanje nije tako teško, priznaje se osnovna škola. Što se tiče posla, većina austrijskih firma hoće da vidi austrijsku diplomu. Naš posao je, što se toga tiče, da mi njima pomognemo da se sve te, sada kažem, sporedne stvari pored škole razreši, da bi oni mogli na miru da se koncentrišu na školovanje. Škola je besplatna, sve ovo što sam vam pričao je besplatno kod nas. Ja ne znam sad tačno kako u Hrvatskoj, znam iz Srbije, iz Bosne, znam da je sistem takav da se ide više u školu, da se tamo završava zanat, ovdje se mora naći firma koja će te primiti za taj zanat. Naprimjer, ako ja od sada budem elektrotehničar, moram naći firmu koja će me primiti kao radnika, kao elektrotehničara. I onda 4 dana nedeljno idem u tu firmu raditi, 1 dan nedeljno idem u školu da završim zanat. I primam isto takvu platu iz firme, samo naravno kad počne manja plata nego normalnom radniku, ali sistem ovakav, ja ne mogu ići preko škole raditi da završavam zanat, nego idem preko privatne firme, moram naći neku firmu koja će primiti.
Zu der Frage, welche Gründe es gibt, warum man nach Österreich einreist, ist einer der größten Probleme wahrscheinlich, dass die Menschen aus 2 Gründen nach Österreich kommen. Das erste wird sein politische Hintergründe. Das zweite wird sein aus wirtschaftlichen Gründen. Das sind die 2 Gründe, warum man nach Österreich kommt. Und jedes Land hat seine eigene Geschichte. Das heißt, vorwiegend aus der türkischen Gruppierung kommende Menschen aus wirtschaftlichen oder politischen Hintergründen und die sind untereinander getrennt. Das heißt, sie arbeiten nicht zusammen und sie haben auch eine ganz andere Denkweise. Und das zweite Problem ist, also ex-jugoslawische Länder sind vor allem aus dem Grund gekommen, zu der Zeit, wo es Krieg gab und Österreich hat ebenfalls nach dem Krieg gewisse Arbeiter gebraucht. Deswegen sind sie nach Österreich gekommen. Und das Problem ist, Österreich hat viele Migranten, aber jetzt kommt das Problem, wie geht Österreich mit diesen Menschen um? Nämlich, das sind mehrere Projekte gestartet worden, vor allem mit Integrationsperspektiven. Das Problem ist aber, Integration hat dazu geführt, dass eigentlich die ganzen Länder, Kulturen sich untereinander assimiliert haben. Also gefördert wurde nicht eigentlich die eigene Sprache, sondern es wurde vorwiegend gesagt, man muss Deutsch lernen. Und jetzt wird sogar ein neues Gesetz kommen, dass in den Schulen, in den Pausenhof, man während der Pause ebenfalls nur Deutsch sprechen darf in den Schulen. Und das andere Problem ist, dass ich denke, dass die Menschen nicht das Problem haben, dass sie nicht Deutsch lernen wollen und dass sie nicht eine andere Perspektive der Integration starten wollen, sondern sie haben die Zeit und die finanzielle Möglichkeit nicht. Das heißt, vorwiegend sind migrantische Familien aus schlechten Verhältnissen. Das heißt, sie müssen die ganze Zeit durcharbeiten. Also Vater, Mutter genauso. Es war genauso dasselbe bei mir. Wir sind 5 Geschwister. Mein Vater und meine Mutter haben die ganze Zeit durchgearbeitet und sie haben die Möglichkeit nicht gehabt, Deutsch zu lernen. Das heißt, automatisch sind sie in der Gesellschaft einen Schritt zurück und sie brauchen immer gewisse Unterstützung, dass sie zum Beispiel bürokratische Hilfe in Anspruch nehmen können. Vorwiegend ist es so, dass die Migranten unter sich hier aufgeteilt sind. Das heißt, die serbische Gruppe ist eine andere, die türkische Gemeinde ist eine andere. Und dann kommt hinzu, dass die Menschen auch eine andere Bildung haben. Das heißt, die eher politisch verfolgten Menschen sind meistens Leute, die eine gewisse Bildung haben und eine andere Perspektive. Und Leute, die aus wirtschaftlichen schlechten Verhältnissen gekommen sind, sind Menschen, die vorwiegend gar keinen Schulabschluss haben. Und meistens ist es auch in den serbischen Ländern so, dass sie genau vorwiegend die gemeinsamen Probleme haben. Das heißt, man arbeitet in direkter Basis eigentlich mit der Regierung selbst, mit den jeweiligen Vereinen. Die Vereine haben Kontakte zu der Regierung. Das heißt eben, ja, dass man irgendeine Veranstaltung macht und etc., da kann man die politischen Parteien dazu rufen. Aber es ist nicht so, dass die Vereine untereinander sehr gut vernetzt sind. Die serbische Community bleibt unter sich, die türkische Community bleibt ebenfalls unter sich. Sie finden nicht einen gemeinsamen Punkt, wo sie sagen können, wir haben hier dieselben Probleme und wir können gemeinsam hier ein Problem, also dieses Problem anders lösen. Und das andere Problem ist, dass der Staat die Ghettosierung gefördert hat. Vorwiegend so, dass in gewissen Bezirken nur wirtschaftlich benachteiligte Menschen schneller eine Wohnung bekommen haben. Das sind Wohnungen, die von der Stadt gefördert werden, wo man etwas weniger Miete zahlt. Und da hat man zum Beispiel im 10. Bezirk oder im 16. Bezirk schneller eine Wohnung bekommen als in anderen Gebieten, wo vorwiegend Österreicher wohnen. Und das führt dazu, dass sie eigentlich unter sich bleiben. Das heißt, der 16. Bezirk ist automatisch eigentlich nur vorwiegend jugoslawische Personen und der 10. Bezirk ist vorwiegend türkische Personen. Hinzu kommt, dass in den Schulen genau dasselbe Problem ist. In einer Klasse sind nur eigentlich Ausländer oder es gibt Klassen nur Österreicher, aber in diesen Bezirken findet man vorwiegend eine Klasse mit 30 Schülern, davon sind 2 Österreicher. Und die Österreicher selbst haben auch einen ganz falschen Eindruck über die Migranten. Die Politik fördert sie dazu, dass sie zum Beispiel eine Anti-Migrationspolitik führen. Sie sagen vorwiegend, an all das System, was in Österreich schiefgegangen ist, sind die Migranten schuld, vorwiegend die türkischen. Sie sagen genauso, daheim statt Islam. That means zu Hause ist besser als für Islam. Also sie wollen eigentlich alle rausvertreiben und Hetzpunkt ist eigentlich Islam selber. Und ich habe zum Beispiel sehr große Probleme hier gehabt in Österreich, weil erstens ich die Sprache nicht gekonnt habe. Kulturelle Aspekte sind vollkommen verschieden. Ich bin in eine ganz andere Welt hineingekommen, wo die Frauenrolle eine ganz andere ist als wie in meiner Kultur. Und das Problem war, ich habe einen gewissen Weg finden müssen, einen Zwischenweg, wo ich beides vernetzen konnte. Das heißt, meine Kultur und österreichische Kultur. Und fördern tut es nicht, wenn man sagt, ja, das eine ist besser als das andere, wir haben das und die haben das. Man muss es nach einer gewissen Zeit ablegen und das Wichtigste ist, dass man sich für einen Ort entscheidet, wo man sich wohlfühlt. Man muss beginnen, im Kopf zu sagen, das ist mein Haus und ich lebe in Österreich und meine Zukunft werde ich hier aufbauen. Und wenn man das nicht macht, was die Eltern vorwiegend machen aus Migrantenfamilien, die vor 30 Jahren als Arbeiter gekommen sind, investieren das ganze Geld in deren Länder und die Kinder sind dann zwiegespalten, weil die Eltern wollen einerseits, wenn sie alt sind, wieder zurück, aber die Kinder sind eigentlich, ist eine Generation, das in diesem Land nichts mehr miteinander verbinden kann. Sie müssen die Denkweise einfach auch umstrukturieren.
Okay, first of all, my name Hikmet Aslan. I'm working for CICIP, which is pleased and happy to have you all guys here, and I hope that we can one day come to Croatia. The reason why we brought you here to this organization, it is called ATIGIF, it's a federation of workers and youth, is that we want to show how community working here in the region, where a high migration population from former Yugoslavia and Turkey lives, what they work here and do there. We have here a high migration rate, and the reason is that many Gastarbeiteri, as it is called, came here in the 70s and 80s, and there were many factories, manufacturing sector, industrial sector, and they worked here. And they thought that they will stay here for a few years and then go back home. That's why Gast, host, and go back. But no, they said, we will stay here. And then their children grow up here, and this means that these people belong to this place, to Austria, to this region. But it's not always easy to be a minority, and this means that you have problems in social life, in work life, in education, and this is the reason why this organization was found here in Neunkirchen, the city of Neunkirchen, in 2005, because they saw that there are many social problems of migrants, and they wanted to be the voice of these migrants, to build a bridge between the migrants on the one side and the institutions, the municipality, the politicians on the other side. That's why they founded this place and tried to help them. They have many activities, social activities, festivities, where they show, it's a bright thing from films up to political discussions, about pension system in Austria, yeah, but especially for youth and for children, for pupils. So that's why they have created something like a school class, where children with different cultural background, the children which were born here in Austria and have other mother tongues, have difficulties in, first of all, German, and also other things at school. And they wanted to help them, give them support after school. And since in Austria support after school is very important but also very expensive, they want to help these children from the social low class. And that's why they created this school class where they teach them in various things, especially in German and in math and this kind of things. But it is a small class, so they need financial support. The social support, human support is there, because they all working voluntarily and doing that very well and with enthusiasm. But as it is like everywhere, money is very important. So that's why we also as CESIP try to support them and build here a more spacious class for about 20 pupils for each session, and in total they will have about 100 pupils which get support after school. On the one side, it's first of all good for the pupils, that they learn more and get support from other people, and on the other side also for the parents. They know that their children get a professional support and don't have to pay for that. And we try to fundraise for them. So we had one of our, we called it round table or round up, where we brought together many organizations in the region and talk about how we can create a school class. And then we saw that we have to talk with the municipality, with teacher, with schools, and that's why, for example, schools gave us chairs, tables, equipment for school class. And this shows that every side has one interest, one thing that they want to, one goal, that is that these children which belongs to this city gets a better opportunity and improve themselves. And this is just one of the main activities which this organization here does, to say a few of them. For example, drug abuse and misuse of drugs is a problem here, and they try to to talk to them, to bring them together with doctors, to explain them how bad it is to do these things, and try to bring them from the wrong side to the right side of the road. They also try to support the integration, so that not all the cultures live next by next, parallel to each other. No, that they come and live together with each other, and therefore they're organizing festivals where many cultural groups present their culture to see and to show how diverse this region is. And this is something that we think is going the right way, because since a few years there is knowledge about this organization and about the problems of migrants. And this is, something like passing the ball through, and that you got things from each other, learn more from each other, to destroy, biases and destroy prejudice about each other. And this is, I think, for Austria of the 21st century, something necessary. And that's why we are here and try to show their work to other people, as for example to you guys. The first generation of migrants were working in the agricultural sector. At their villages, they were farmers, classical farmers. So they were producers. And then they came here started to work in factories and got to be consumers with no school education, in the most cases, especially the older generation, illiterate. They can't write and read. So for them it was only important to work, to get the opportunity to work, to gather money together, and to give their children a better future. And that's why they sacrificed many things. They had no social life, no possibility to go to school, just for the children. And the point is that their children, so the upgrowing and the next generations, have to know that through which bad roads and things their parents passed through. But our social system and system in a society is divided in classes. And once you belong to the lowest class, it's not so easy to get up to the next level. So that's why it is important to enable new generations that they have to go to school, to learn, to make a proficiency. And it's not necessary to go to university, but it's necessary to use this knowledge and these tools, this social and especially cultural tools, because migrants can speak many languages, can deal with different cultures, and this is something that we and migrants and young generations have to use as an advantage. And that's why like our organization and organizations like Atigiv, where we are today, try to enforce this knowledge, try to give the youth this thinking that they have many opportunities, many possibilities, and they don't have to be anxious and say, oh, my parents are from the lowest class, I can't move forward. No, you can. And that's why it's important to show young generations how important it is to educate themselves. And education is not just university or something like that. Education is talking to each other. Education is to listen and learn from each other. And that's why we are working in this fight.